I'm the Entertainah.
And I'm Simeon Russell.
And we're talking New York sports.
Let's rock. Entertainah, what's popping, man? How you been?
What's popping? You know, ever since I've been watching your show, I say that everywhere I go now. You got me hooked on that. I went into work the other day. I started saying it to all the guys I work with. They're looking at me like I'm a lunatic. I go into work. I'm saying, what's popping? What's popping?
Yeah. Nah, I mean, it's catchy. I guess.
Love it.
It's
I
catchy.
Love it. I started texting people too. I love it.
Yeah. So how's your week been?
It's been good, man. It's been busy. I made a couple of videos. I've been busy with work. You know the daily stresses of life.
Yeah. Same
What about
here.
you? What about you?
Same here. It's been a busy week. Met with a couple of clients. You know, did some video work for some people. Of course, I did a couple of streams. I did a stream on, what's today? Today's Friday. I did a stream on Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. Keeps me busy. A couple of videos in between.
And you're working on your project, right? With the memoir, right?
Yeah, working on it. So far, it's that's keeping me busy as well. You know, but so far it's coming out so good. Not so good, but coming out good.
Yeah,
you know,
I've been looking forward to the show all week. I thought last week went great. I thought we had some great chemistry. I'm really looking forward to the show. Yeah,
I think it went really well. We got a lot of great reviews, and I'm excited. I'm happy. I like this.
I think we're starting something big here, Sam. I really do.
Yeah, I think so too. And a lot of people think we're starting something big. So did you get to see the Giants and Browns preseason game?
Did I get to see the game? Of course I got to see the game. I'm a Giants fan. Of course I got to see the game. And to me, the storyline of this game was the two worst teams from last year. They had the top two picks. This game was like the toilet bowl, right? You had the two worst teams from last year. You had Saquon Barkley, Giants took with the second pick, and you had Baker Mayfield, who the Browns took with the first. A lot of people thought, they reached. Most people thought they should take Donald. They ended up taking Baker. This is a tremendous game because I got to see the top two picks, and I was really excited to see that.
Yeah. And did you see? Well, obviously you did. First touch as a New York Giant. Saquon Barkley runs for 39 yards. I was elated. That
play, let me tell you something, Sim. That play, I could talk about that play for an hour. I've been waiting to see that as a Giant fan for years. This guy, he reminded me of Barry Sanders on that play. He really did. Because he goes to the right. He's got three guys crashing in on him. They're getting ready to tackle him. And he jukes, he jives, he gets around all of it. And then a lane opens up and he just goes for it. 39 yards down the sideline. He hit another level there. He went from 0 to 60 in half a second.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was really impressive. Really impressive. And it makes me really, really excited just what to expect. We talked about it in the last show. Just what to expect from Barkley with his career, man. Hey, I see the shirt you have on. I love the shirt. I'm getting one of those shirts. You can bet your bottom dollar on it. I'm getting one of those shirts. I like that shirt.
I got it over at Dick's Sporting Goods. It was I think it was like $20.
Ah, okay. Dick's Sporting Goods. Hey, Dick's Sporting Goods. We mentioned you in the stream. Just keep that in mind because we might be reaching out to you.
I was watching the game, and the shirt had me singing after seeing Barkley run that. I'm in a Saquon state of mind.
There we go. What do you think about the offensive line?
What do I think about the offensive line? I mean, the big storyline with the offensive line, obviously, they brought in the vet Soldier, right? They got Flowers shifting over to the right side, which should help them a little bit. You brought in the rookie Will Hernandez. But the real big storyline in the training camp is the center position. Nobody knows who's going to get the starting job. It's really a coin flip between Brett Jones and John Halapio. That's probably the biggest battle in training camp. So I'm really interested to see who wins that.
Yeah, okay. And you know what? Let's dial back a second. Go back to running back position. The kid Martin from Rutgers. He looked good.
Yeah, I mean, they're still saying he's a long shot to crack the 53-man roster, but he made a case for himself. And if you remember Victor Cruz, the year before he broke onto the scene, he had a tremendous training camp. He didn't end up making the roster, but the next year he did.
He made the roster, exactly.
You never know what you're going to find.
Exactly. You got Saquon Barkley, of course. Jonathan Stewart.
Yeah, Stewart was a nice vet they brought in. I like that pickup.
That's a nice veteran to pick up. So I can see where it's going to be hard for him to make the roster.
And you got Gallman, too, who was, I think
exactly.
he was a third or fourth round pick last year. He showed some nice things last year.
Right. So I can see how it will be hard for him to make the roster. But impressive nonetheless.
Yeah, and he might make it. He might make it. He looked good. Yeah, I think he was averaging like 8 yards a carry.
Yeah.
The one guy that was missing was Beckham.
Yep. Which is, I mean, you know what? You know, it's a good thing. We don't need any more injuries to him.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I was excited to see. We haven't seen him for almost a year after the week 2 injury or week 3, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I was excited to see him and Barkley pair together. I guess we're gonna have to wait till week 2 to see that. But it is gonna be dynamic seeing those two guys go at it.
The Giants' offense can be so fast. When you talk about Beckham, Saquon Barkley, Sterling Shepard, Ingram.
I was gonna say Evan Ingram. Don't forget about him.
I mean, the speed. I just hope Eli can keep up. He better. He can keep up.
Eli's gonna keep. Let's go easy on easy. He's gonna keep up.
Yeah, I love Eli. You know, don't get me wrong.
He looked all right last night. I mean, he only had 7 pass attempts, but he looked all right.
He was 4 for 7 for 26 yards, I think.
Yeah, he did his job. I mean, he's gonna be fun. I really think he's gonna be fun. Eli's biggest problem this year, in my opinion, is gonna be to pick which guy to throw to because they're all gonna be open.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's the best problem to have. And you know, if we have a decent offensive line that can keep Eli standing, keep him, you know, keep the pressure off of him, we'll really get to see if Eli still has it. We'll get to see it because there's weapons all over the floor. If the offensive line can keep him standing up, we'll get to see if Eli still has it. I believe he does.
Yeah, I like what Sherman brings to the table, too, the new head coach. He has a great offensive mind, so I'm not too worried about the offense this year, as long as the offensive line is even decent. Where I'm worried is the defense, and we saw that last night.
We did. Now, the running defense, the run defense was decent. They held the Browns to 2.4 yards per carry.
Right.
So that was decent.
Yeah.
That was decent. Got Snacks in there. Eats him up.
Snacks always does his job up the middle. You know that.
Yeah, you know, the secondary looked soft. They looked soft to me. But let's give him some time. His first preseason game.
Yeah, well, the secondary has a couple of big names. You got Landon Collins, who might be the best individual player on this defense, and Jack Rabbit. Janoris Jenkins is one of the top 5 or 6 corners in the league. But the rest of the secondary, I see a lot of problems there. Eli Apple really has to take a step forward this year. He was a first-round pick, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, and he really hasn't blossomed yet. Yeah. Now that DRC's gone, he's taking that role.
Yeah, he's got to step up. Let's take a step back to quarterback. Davis Webb started off. What he started off 0 for 9, 0 for 9. He ended 9 for 22, but he didn't look good.
Didn't look good. He didn't look good. He looked like he didn't even belong on a football field. Yeah. This guy couldn't play for my high school team the way he was playing.
Yeah. But maybe it was, you know, he knew that there's a lot of eyes on him. You know, maybe he's just a little bit nervous.
I hope so, because the way he played, I'm ready to see Loletta as the backup. He better show me something week 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. Look, everything that we hear about him is positive. You know, he knows the playbook like the back of his hand. You know, his work ethic is off the charts. He follows Eli around like a lost puppy. You know, those things, I have to believe that those things are going to lead him to be a good NFL quarterback.
I hope so because Eli's only got so many years left. They have to find his, the guy that's going to take over.
The Jets beat the Falcons tonight, 17-0. What's it mean? Anything?
Really nothing. I mean, it's preseason, but you could take a couple of things from the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Darnold looked terrific. 13 for 18. He threw for just under 100 yards, and he had a touchdown. That was a beautiful throw. He stepped up in the pocket. He hit the guy in the end zone. He looked the part tonight. I can't lie. And Bridgewater, too. Bridgewater was 7 for 8. Of course, McCown didn't play much. And I think Bowles said at the end of the game that he's still number 3 starter, Darnold. But you know what? He's going to make him earn the job.
All right. Do you think he's serious about it, though? Do you think he seriously thinks Darnold is just going to be number 3 for the season?
No, not for the season. No way. I think it's going to be similar to when Eli was a rookie, right? When Eli came in, Kurt Warner, if you remember, was actually the starting quarterback. Mm-hmm. And he started for the first 6 games that year, and then they brought Eli in. I think it's going to be something similar. And it makes sense when you look at the Jets' schedule. I'm going to tell you why. If you look at the Jets' schedule, week 4, they play the best defense in football. The Jacksonville Jaguars are one of the best. And they got Denver Broncos week 5. So that's 2 very good defenses. Me personally, if I'm the Jets, I don't want to be throwing out my my Lamborghini, right? That's what Darnold is. You know, you don't want to feed him to the wolves. You want to build confidence. Okay. So I'd probably wait until after those 2 top-tier defenses to bring him in probably week 6.
Okay. And what happens to Bridgewater?
Bridgewater's interesting. Bridgewater's got some talent. We saw that with Minnesota before he got hurt. He's still relatively young. I personally think he could potentially be trade bait because he's a cheap quarterback. I think he's only making $5 or $6 million. And I could see them potentially trading him.
Okay. And the defense? It was a shutout. It's a preseason game. They shut him out.
I mean, you got to take something positive from that, right? I think they held him like 2 yards a carry. They laid a goose egg on the one of the best offenses in football.
Yeah, I think the Falcons had 254 total yards.
Yeah, and of course Matt Ryan barely played. Julio Jones barely played. If he played at all,
Yeah,
I don't.
right.
We didn't get to catch the game. We're looking at the stats, but I saw some of the highlights with Darnold.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, anytime you lay a goose egg, that you have to take some positives.
You have to take something from it. Got to take something from it. Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see what the little brothers are gonna do this year. I'm rooting for them to do well.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see Darnold build off this game because he showed a lot. And it's funny, all the big rookies. I mean, I don't know how Rosen did, but the other 3, the guy from Buffalo did fantastic too. Josh Allen. We saw Mayfield tear apart the Giants. So the rookies look really good week 1 in the preseason.
Well, now that we've talked about one disgrace of a franchise, let's talk about my favorite disgrace of a franchise and your favorite disgrace of a franchise. From the Jets to the Mets.
Oh, my God. All right, let's go.
My Mets. Your Mets. And
I couldn't wait for this segment. Go ahead.
Yeah. And if you look behind me, we got a special guest in the house, Big Freezie.
Hey, what's up, world?
Freezie. Big Freezie is a Mets fan.
What's popping, Freezie?
Hey, man. It's the same thing, different day when you're a Mets fan, man. It's a dog-eat-dog world. You know what I mean?
I wake up every day. Every day I wake up, I wonder if I could go back. I became a Met fan around when I was like 10, 11 years old. That's when I cemented myself as a Met fan. And I wake up every day and I wish I could, go in a DeLorean and just, change my opinion. I wish I was a Yankee fan. Life would be so much easier.
Yeah, man.
Right.
You know what? I became a Mets fan about the same age as you. About the same age. 86 when the Mets won the World Series. Darryl Strawberry, Lenny Dykstra, those guys.
Yes, sir.
That's when I became a Mets fan. Giants fan, too. That's when I became a Giants fan. You know what I'm saying?
You got spoiled. As soon as you became a fan, they're winning championships.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. But the Mets haven't spoiled me since. Yeah, man. Yeah, so Freeze, I hear you have a story, interesting story on how you became a Mets fan.
Yeah, let me run it off for the world because I'm sure they'll get either some entertainment value out of it, or at least they'll some fans out there will understand where I'm coming from. So, my pops, man, is a baseball fan, diehard. Rest in peace. He grew up playing baseball, man, Sandlot, right? But just like a lot of African Americans in that era of 50s, 60s. They were Dodgers fans, Brooklyn Dodgers. The Dodgers moved to L.A. They took their fandom with them. They became L.A. Dodgers fans because of Jackie Robinson and some other things. So my pops, though, from day one was like, son, you're a Dodgers fan. That's just how we roll. He used to buy me wristbands and stuff, the Dodgers wristbands and all that stuff. And so we grew up, I grew up in Jersey City. You know what I'm saying? I'm like 20 minutes from Manhattan. You know what I'm saying? I'm right outside New York. my pops takes me to this Dodgers game at Shea Stadium. It's Mets and Dodgers. Dodgers are in first place. Mets are in last place. But it's the 70s, so y'all already knew that, right? So it's like seventh inning. The score's like 7-2, and it's pouring down rain, right? Everybody's ready to go, right? So the umpires won't call the game, right? So we just sitting out there getting rained. I'm talking about pouring down. So I'm talking about pouring down straight summer thunderstorm type rain, right? But during the rain shower, the Mets fans start drinking. So they get hammed. Son, I'm talking about slam. And so the Mets players come out, standing at the dugout, and the entire stadium, that y'all remember how big and cavernous Shea Stadium is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about 13,000 people, right? All of them go to this one side, like right behind the Mets dugout, right? And they start cheering for the Mets guys to come out. And so the Mets start coming out of the dugout. Man, it's like QB Brooks and some other guys start coming, and they start getting the crowd pumped, and it turns into a party, right? I swear to God, man, the rain stops right then. The rain stops.
Wow.
These guys come out with these big brooms. They sweep off the field. The Mets come up in the bottom of the seventh, score 5 runs, tie up the game. It's like a party, right? I mean, Shea Stadium is going crazy in this late August, random on the schedule game. Man, it's humid. Scores tied up 7-7. The Dodgers want to get out of there. The Mets are rocking, and so the game goes to extra innings, and it starts to rain again, right? Pouring down rain and extras. So, dude, this guy comes up. The Dodgers go to the bullpen. They like get their best relieving guy. They're like, "Yo, enough is enough." The Dodgers had taken the lead. You know what I'm saying? In top of the inning, it's like 8-7. They bring out the best reliever in the game. I forget what his name is, right? So the first pitch he throws slips out of his hand and hits a guy. And the guy's like in pain, and he jogs down to first base. The next pitch he throws is hit over the wall in center. And the Mets win.
Man.
Oh man.
And so as we jump up and start celebrating, the Mets let off fireworks, right? And so
the Mets players let off fireworks?
No.
The organization.
Okay.
It's fireworks day at Shea Stadium.
Okay.
And I don't and as a shorty, I never got to see fireworks in the hood. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So we go, and these jokers let off fireworks because they won. And it's like the first time I saw fireworks in real life. I turned to my pop, yo, hand to the man. I turned to my pops. I'm like, yo, pops, I'm a Mets fan.
It is.
Yeah.
And you've been miserable ever since.
Ever since,
right?
Ever since.
Oh,
but that's my Mets story, and I know everybody has their different Mets experience, but that's my Mets experience right there. That's how I became a diehard fan, because I was there and experienced them go from being down and out to being victorious. And I saw it with my own eyes. And my pops, keeping it real, keeping it 10 times 10. My pops didn't speak to me the whole bus ride home. He did. He speak to me. When we got home, we walked in the house. Man. And my mom was like, yo, how was the game? And my pops just walked to the fridge and got a Budweiser. And I walked to my mom, and she was like, the Dodgers lost, huh? So there it is.
That's funny, man. That's funny. It's funny, but it's nice to hear that you was able to spend that moment with your pops, though.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
But that's the thing. Baseball is that family type, game where it's all American, man. It's that thing where everybody from every different background, can experience the same type of deal. Yeah. But anyways, I didn't want to get sentimental, man. I just wanted to, jump on here with you guys first, because, I love talking with y'all, man. Y'all super knowledgeable. And second, we have to do something with these Mets, man. So enough about me, E and Sim. And for everybody out there, I'm just going to call the Entertainah E, because it's a lot to say. I love my man, but it's just a lot to say. But anyway, enough about me. Let's talk about these Mets, the here and now. Um, I like a lot of other fans feel like Mickey Callaway is not totally to blame. I think you can blame roster construction on the terrible start by the Mets.
Yeah, that was a beautiful story you just told, by the way. My story about the Mets is not nearly as romantic as that. I went to a Subway Series game when I was 12 or 13. You might remember the game when Matt Franco hit the walk-off single against Mariano in the ninth, I think it was. They won 8-7.
Right.
So that's when I cemented myself as a Mets fan. But anyway, back to the team of today. Callaway, for the most part, I think Alderson and ownership is much more to blame. Alderson has been married to this Moneyball philosophy, and he hasn't looked outside the box, doesn't have a creative mind in his body, and the owners won't spend money. That's the big problem.
Right. I agree. And I also think the big problem is like a solar system type deal. You have one big thing going on, but you have a lot of smaller things going on too, like poor team chemistry, poor roster construction, no clutch moments, and the owner doesn't want to spend money. And I mean, I'm all in. I would love to see the Mets go after Manny Machado, right?
Oh my God!
But it won't happen because the Mets are every year looking to pair payroll because the owners don't have any money. I'm almost to a point where I would love to see James Dolan by the team. At least I know he'll throw money at the problem.
Yeah, James Dolan's in the wrong sport because he's in the salary cap sport, and exactly what you just said. The guy's willing to. If he was a owner of a baseball team, he'd be spending $200 million. They'd have a $200 million payroll.
Right. So one major thing that we should look at that we have a deficit is total team speed, where the Mets basically have a few guys with decent speed, but there is no focus on team speed as a whole. I think that's one thing. I think it helps your offense some, where if you have not just decent speed for athletes, but I'm talking about guys that can flat out get it. The Mets don't have any of that. The Mets hadn't had a guy like Billy Hamilton since
Jose Reyes. Jose Reyes was the last time they had a guy like that. When he was younger.
Jose Reyes, right?
Yeah, but to your point, that's the problem with analytics and Moneyball is they forget about team speed. Everything's about home runs and walks. They look at stolen bases as an afterthought. They don't want that, and that's a problem. And the other thing, a big thing for this team where it fell apart, in my opinion, was not bringing back Daniel Murphy because he didn't fit that mold of the Moneyball philosophy. And he was one of those hitters that he doesn't walk because he's always swinging at pitches, but he always made productive outs, and you don't see that in the box score. And ever since they lost him, the offense hasn't been the same because they're all strikeout or home run hitters. They have no flow to their lineup.
Right. And so, and you know what? I had a philosophy like this. So the late 90s Yankees would work pitchers, have high pitch counts, and then bludgeon you in the inning where if you made one mistake, like one bad call to the bullpen, the Yankees would bludgeon you, right? So the thing is the Mets take this philosophy of working pitchers, but your lineup is not deep like that Yankees team was. You're telling Lucas Duda to take pitches. I remember watching Lucas Duda stand at the plate as a left-handed power hitter and take a first pitch strike, right? Dude, you do not know if you're ever going to see a strike like that again. Pitchers took advantage of that. And so you want a guy with Duda's power to go up there and swing at strikes. Now Duda's gone. Now Duda's been gone for 2 years, or 2 seasons, and now you don't have an adequate replacement for him. I mean,
everybody thought it was going to be Dom Smith, and he's been complete trash at the first base position, and that's what the Mets do with all their prospects. With Rosario, everybody said Rosario is going to be the top prospect in all of baseball, and he comes up. That's the thing. That's the thing when you compare the Mets to the Yankees. Aaron Judge was barely a top 50 prospect, right? He comes up. He's the best player in baseball. the Mets got the top prospect in baseball in Rosario, and he's barely a major leaguer. He comes up, he's swinging at balls 5 feet off the plate. That's what happened. That's the life of a Mets fan, really.
Right. Because it's two things. One, they rushed him to the big leagues when he wasn't ready, and two, they put the pressure on him to turn around the franchise.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't develop their players well at all. Right.
And so the saga continues with any team that wears blue and orange. And just in New York, you won't develop your young guys. There's any team wearing blue and orange, and that's including the Islanders too.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a diehard Met fan probably since around 97, 98, and I could probably count on one hand the amount of top-notch players this team has developed from the farm system. You got Jose Reyes, you got David Wright. So the pitchers, I got to be fair, the pitchers have been good with Harvey. Well, before he got hurt, of course. Harvey, deGrom, Matz has been all right. But other than that, I mean, there's a couple other guys, but for the most part, you look at the Yankees, they got to have 20, 25 guys in that time span that they've brought up that have become superstars.
Right, but so the Mets' legacy, and this goes back to right when I started watching the Mets. The Mets' legacy is develop pitching and trade for position players. Historically, that's what we do. And you can go back to Nolan Ryan, Tom Seaver, all the way back then, or Dwight Gooden, Ron Darling, Sid Fernandez, Rick Aguilera, all the young guys that the Mets had and developed. Jason Isringhausen. You can go back to a lot of different guys. Oh,
he was part of that Generation K that kind of was a little bit of a bust, but Isringhausen actually became a good reliever later in his career.
Right. Yeah, no doubt.
I agree with you spot on. The Mets they've always been known, at least in recent times, for their pitching and their catchers. They usually have top-notch catchers, which is stupid because the catchers break down by the time they're 30 years old. And other than that, they never develop position players. You're absolutely right. Reyes and Wright, of course, were exceptions, but for the most part, they don't.
Right. And it goes back to your Jay Paytons, all these guys that had a lot of cachet built up before they made it to the major leagues, and then made it to the major leagues and did diddly. So, but you know what though? Before I would say we were cursed. Right now, I'm blaming the Wilpons, man. I think the Wilpons need to be out of professional sports. Period.
100%. And it's been really sad this year to watch this team, how they've just fallen apart. And Jacob deGrom, I feel so bad for this guy.
Right. No doubt. And it's not as if deGrom is a jerk or Thor can't relate to. Or I'm sorry, that Noah Syndergaard can't relate to fans. Dude, these guys are perfect for New York City. But you can't surround them with the guys that they need in order to be successful. And losing is one of those things where if you do too much of it, it becomes too much of a burden or albatross to get over. If you lose a significant amount, you become a loser because you forget how to win, or don't know what that feeling of winning is like. Even in small doses, if you win, you still feel like, you're a loser. So
it's like that saying, winning is contagious, losing is the same way. If you develop habits, that's what I'm worried about with the Knicks. With this roster, everybody wants them to tank. Losing is contagious. And if you lose too much, you develop bad habits. And you're absolutely right about that. And I just feel so bad for this guy this year. He's pitching to a 1.7 ERA. He's got a 6-7 record. I don't even know that's possible. He's having one of the top 5 or 6 years probably in the history of baseball, and they can't win any games for him.
Right. So I was offered a solution. One of my homeboys offered me a solution, and he said, Freezie, just think about this. What if you take deGrom and trade him for Mike Trout straight up? And what if you take Noah Syndergaard, Zach Wheeler, Steven Matz, and Henry Mayha and trade them for Bryce Harper straight up? Now, I know Harper's a free agent to be, but what if you trade those guys away and just get bona fide cornerstone everyday players and then develop pitching like you did with deGrom and Syndergaard?
And yeah, in an ideal world, that trade makes a lot of sense. Of course, I'm going to trade Jacob deGrom. As much as I love deGrom, he's the best pitcher in the sport, right? But if you could get I think Trout's like 25, 26. This guy, to me, he's the modern day Mickey Mantle. He could has potential to be one of the top 5 players who ever played this sport.
Right.
But I get where you're going with that. I don't think that trade would happen, but I get where you're going with that, where they need to start bringing in some key pieces that are positional players, because especially in today's game, the pitchers, with the Tommy John surgery, they're all getting hurt by the age of 25, 26. It's like a common thing. So it's really silly, in my opinion, to build your team around pitching. Not to say that you don't need it, but really you need to build it with the position players and then develop pitching. But you can't build your entire team around starting pitching, especially in today's game.
Right. For one, today's starting pitchers are more fragile than ever. To your point, right? To your point, today's starting pitchers are more fragile than ever, right? Furthermore, and probably just as important, it's hard to find a consistent everyday player at any position. And
Right.
if you can take a bona fide proven starter and trade him for an all-star, then I say do it, especially if you're the Mets, because for one, you're not only the little brothers of New York in terms of baseball, but Mets fans universally feel like we're cursed. I mean, for the love of Mike, man, Cespedes has got a calcium deposit in his heel. Really, man?
Well, really? How about Conforto last year? The guy swung a bat and he tore his bicep out.
Really, man? I mean, that's how far this thing is. That's how far this thing has gotten. This is where we are. You know what I mean? A guy swings at a pitch and not even he wasn't trying to jack one 700 feet. It was just to put a bat on ball and his shoulder pops out. Yeah. And to go back to your point about the starting pitchers, another thing that I thought about as you were talking, starting pitchers, they don't go 9 innings anymore either, right? They go 5 innings and they did their job. And then it goes to the bullpen. Exactly. I mean, and so in my view, I would tell, first of all, the Wilpons need to be out of professional sports. Because for one, you can't embarrass your fan base with something as stupid as a Ponzi scheme, right? and secondly, you can't embarrass your fan base by bargain shopping when the team across town is not even 6 miles away, maybe less, is traded for John Carlos Stanton. Really? Yeah, they just picked up his whole contract. They didn't even. They were like, "Hey, he's getting what, 34 mil? Yeah, okay, I got it. I thought you were gonna say 35, 34. Okay, we good." To your point, I think the Mets should have blown it up. I think they should have traded deGrom, and I think they should have tried to get a return similar to what the White Sox got for Sale. Because that's what they should have done. Because deGrom's value, as good as deGrom is, his value is never going to be higher than it was this year. Man, San Diego was ready to sell you the farm for Noah Syndergaard. Yeah, the San Diego Padres were ready to give you everything for Noah Syndergaard, right? And so instead of entertaining anything, no pun intended, they were like, no, we're not going to do anything. We're just going to stay pat with what we have and make a run at the World Series again next year with what we have. Really? Yeah, and they're gonna sell us the same thing next year, I already know I'm gonna buy my tickets. I fall for it every year. Right. I'm the problem, dude. No, man. I'm the problem. There is nobody on Fanatics.com more than me buying Mets and Knicks stuff. So the thing with the Mets is this: there's no dedication to winning, man. George Steinbrenner put pressure on himself. The New York media couldn't put pressure on Steinbrenner. Steinbrenner put pressure on himself to provide the city of New York with the winner by having a motto, or it's championship or bust. The Mets are like, hey, let's just be respectful. But you know what? Hey, at the Entertainah, I'm tired of talking this Mets stuff, man. You get me. Crazy. I'm getting depressed talking about it. Let's transition a little bit into football. I know you're a Bears fan, but this is a New York show. What's up, Sim?
I'm here. What's up? I took a little break.
You happened to catch the Giant game. What did you think of Saquon Barkley?
If we're talking about the fantasy impact of the Giant skill players, I honestly believe that you'll see a breakout of Evan Ingram. Odell Beckham will probably be just as good as or better. Saquon Barkley, bro, this dude is gonna be phenomenal if the Giants' offensive line is at least league average in terms of blocking. They don't have to be top 10, top 5. All they have to do is be better than they were the last 2 years, and Saquon Barkley can do the rest.
I'm sorry, is Saquon Barkley a first-round draft pick in fantasy?
What? Of course.
Okay.
I would have. Of course, for the fans and the viewers and such, don't really know me, but I'm one that values running backs more so than receivers. So I would have beyond Elliott, David Johnson be the current Mount Rushmore, with Saquon Barkley knocking on the door.
He's knocking hard though.
Fourth. Right. Now it's too early, and it would be reckless to say that Saquon Barkley is the best running back in the NFL without him playing a snap of regular season football.
Oh yeah.
But
it's kind of like Sim with Kevin Knox.
Right.
Hey, let's go easy. But
Hall of Fame, write it down. Man. I think Saquon Barkley is definitely in the top 10, but the reasonable play would be top 10 trending towards top 5. Definitely. I think the Giants found a gem, and he'll be their starting running back, and a productive one for at least the next 10 years or so.
Yeah.
But we all think that way though. But I think the collateral damage, so to speak, if I'm saying it the right way, is you'll see cats like Sterling Shepard become viable again, and Evan Ingram. While we talk about Saquon Barkley, I think Evan Ingram and Saquon Barkley together is going to be like that Rodney Hampton, Howard Cross combination from way back in the day. And I'm sorry for the new Giants fans, but back in the day, the Giants did have a lot of key pieces. So
yeah, I like where you're going with that. As far as what Saquon, I kind of get where you're going with that, because Saquon could have a good year, but not a great year. But he can make all the other skill position players a lot better, because everybody's focused on Saquon. That is going to open up the door for Shepard. That's going to open up the door for Ingram and Beckham. So I get where you're going with that. If we're talking fantasy football, I personally think Saquon, if I have the first pick, I would think about taking him. But like you said, I probably can't do it before he takes a snap. But he's knocking on the door. I think he's going to have a fantastic year.
Yeah, you can't take him before you take Todd Gurley or Ezekiel Elliott.
Listen, and you know
I'm
what?
a Giant fan.
You know what? Exactly. I'm a Giant fan, so I'm taking them. I've had fantasy leagues where my running back, receiver, quarterback, I even took Eli. I had him on the bench, but I took Eli too, just because. Victor Cruz, where I had 5 New York Giants on my squad. That's just that's how I roll.
Really,
that's how I roll. But I won a Super Bowl with that squad. So,
hey, what was the name of that team? Fantasy Hogan's Heroes. I'm taking all my hometown guys. I'm taking all my. Just give me all the Giants, man. Because
then I get conflicted. I'm not gonna lie. I get conflicted. You know what I'm saying? When I play against my guys, when I play against the Giants or someone who has a New York Giant, I am conflicted.
I get where you're going with that, and I'm the same way in terms of I don't like to draft rivals. I don't want to draft Ezekiel Elliott because I don't want to root for a Cowboy.
There have been years that I've had Randy Moss, different Packers on my team, and I'm a diehard Bears fan. The reason why I'm a Bears fan, and I'll keep this one quick, it's not a long story, but we used to play this game with, again, this is, we were in the hood or whatever, and we used to play this game called Free Fall, where you just throw up a football in the street and everybody just go for theirs.
Yeah.
And so back in the day, all the backs that we knew were taken. Everybody would be like, "Yo, I'm Tony Dorsett, I'm such and such." And so I'm like, I don't have any running back. Who's a running back? So he look about Walter Payton. You say you like sports, you don't know who Walter Payton is? And I'm like, no, who is Walter? Who names a kid Walter? Right? So he was like, yo, the game come on tonight, Monday Night Football back in the day. He's like, yo, the game come on tonight, man, come by the house. We'll fix you. We'll give y'all some cookies and some Kool-Aid, man. We watch the game. So we watched the game, and Walter Payton runs for like 230 yards. Wow. I mean, just like, I think it's like, I can't remember. I think it was like the Chiefs or somebody. But every time he touched it was like 3 dudes on him, and he just break away and just do something crazy and get like 8 yards. And he was like, yo, everybody in the stadium knows that they're giving Walter Payton the ball on 3rd and 3. Watch this run, Lil Freezie. Watch this run. So the Chiefs, or whoever the team is, they blitz before the quarterback can get the ball out of his hands. He's hit. Walter Payton's getting grabbed by somebody, but he catches the ball anyway. He runs over a dude, shakes a dude, pushes a dude off, and breaks for a 70-yard touchdown. And I'm like, hey, man, I'm a Bears fan.
Yeah, that's how it happens. Yeah.
You're obviously biased.
Right.
You're obviously biased as a Bears fan, but do you think he's the greatest back of all time?
Hey, man, I really don't want to start this conversation for the sake of I know that you guys are going to have like 3,000, 4,000 fans subscribe and look at this and then hold me to it. I would say, I'm just going to say that I believe from what I saw without the use of analytics that Walter Payton is by far the greatest running back that has ever played the game. Now, with that said, analytics really likes Barry Sanders.
That's how I was about to mention Barry Sanders.
I was going to go real old school and say Jim Brown.
Right. Jim Brown only played against, 13 defenses?
That's a good point.
And the era that Walter Payton played in, you had defenses with names like the Doomsday Defense, the Purple People Eaters, the Steel Curtain.
The Steel Curtain.
Steel Curtain.
Right. And so the analytics may not shine upon Walter Payton's numbers, but we know the eras of the mid to late 70s through the early to mid 80s were known to have dominant defense. I mean, the Bears played the Giants every year, and the Giants defense in the 80s was ridiculous.
I was born in '85. I wish I got to see that matchup, because that's two of the greatest defenses of all time.
Right, and the Eagles, and the
Eagles. Yeah.
And the Redskins had Dexter Manley, Charles Mann, Darryl Green, all these guys. The defenses in the 80s were phenomenal, and Walter Payton played against those defenses.
Yeah.
Now Barry Sanders, not so much. Barry Sanders didn't play against the Ravens.
You got to give Barry his due, though. Barry did some magical things on the football field
without really having an offensive line either.
Right.
For a lot of his career, Barry Sanders made some things happen. Imagine if he did play for one of those Giants or Bears teams that had an offensive line.
And you're talking about the offensive line, Sim. Imagine if Barry got put over on the Cowboys and they switched teams. Could you imagine Barry Sanders running behind that offensive line?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it would have been ridiculous. It probably would have been ridiculous, but... there's where it is. Barry Sanders is a great. Walter Payton is a great. Just like Kevin Knox is going to be a great.
Oh, wow. Hall of Fame. Book it.
Don't tell me that you just put Kevin Knox in the same sentence of Barry Sanders. Don't tell me you just did that.
Hey, man, that's my guy. I really like Kevin Knox. I really do. And I cannot wait until October 17th versus the Atlanta Hawks.
So, and then the other big game they got is the Christmas game without the Antetokounmpo. What do you think of that matchup?
Well, of course, a lot of people are excited for the game because it's kind of like a revenge game. You know what I'm saying? Because of what happened with KP. The big matchup would maybe be Kevin Knox versus Giannis.
Sim, please don't tell me that you think that Kevin Knox is better than Giannis.
This guy right here. You know what? We'll see. We will see when they play. That's all I'm going to say. We'll see when they play. Right. No, I don't think Kevin Knox is better than Giannis. But I think he fits the same prototype.
I can agree with that.
He fits the same prototype. But overall, you know, when I look at the Knicks schedule, there's just not a lot of games that are. I'm intrigued with every Knicks game, but there's not a lot of games on the schedule that I'm like, I cannot wait to see this game right here. You know, we just don't have those kind of rivalries anymore. And we need to get into the playoffs to build those kind of rivalries where you get pumped for certain games throughout the season, you know?
Yeah. It's just not the way it used to be when you had the Heat and the Pacers and everybody else. They haven't had those rivalries since the mid-'90s, mid to late 90s.
Exactly. I mean, you know, we always got Boston where, you know, we're a rival with Boston. Anytime we play them, if Kyrie comes to the Knicks, you know, that's going to regenerate a rivalry. There's always a rivalry, but it'll regenerate it a little bit. And maybe it does something this year because the Celtics fans kind of know that the Knicks want Kyrie. And the rumor is out there that he wants to go to the Knicks. But yeah, you're right. You know, just those same kind of rivalries just aren't there. What do you think, Freezie?
For one, I think that there is one rivalry, and it's Boston. But as far as everybody else, it was just the rivalries were centered around teams that were good at the same time, wanting the same thing. For instance, the Knicks and the Pacers were both good at the same time, but they both had odds on the Miami Heat and wanting to knock them off. So it was, important to them to knock us off so that they can knock off Miami. But at the same time, who are they to want to knock us off? We want to knock them off and beat Miami as well. But in that case, that's the same for a lot of teams, man, that we played. Indiana, Miami. I mean, I remember a beef with DC one time, but I think it's Boston, man. I despise Boston, man. I don't like the city. I don't like the fans. I don't like any of the. I hate the Patriots, the Celtics, the Bruins. The Red Sox, man, I hate Boston cream pie. You know what I'm saying? I hate Boston creams. You know what I'm saying? If it's got Boston in it, I do not like it, man.
It's just funny how the different generations work because I'm a little younger than you guys, and I don't really think. I mean, obviously they're a rival, but they've never both been good at the same time for me. So I don't really view Boston as the primary rival. I think more Heat. I think more Pacers. I think more Bulls.
Yeah. I mean, I think right now, just because it's Boston, right now they're the primary rivals because you know, in the playoffs we haven't had any playoff battles over the last decade. I think back Entertainah to
our primary. The Sixers used to be our primary rival back in the early to mid 80s. You know, because they would come in the Garden and beat us up and go party in New York and be in the paper. and we'd be like, yo, why y'all got the Sixers players in the paper and this is our town? They just
right.
It's like dudes used to say back in the day, we're going to come on y'all court and beat y'all by 20 and then take y'all girls and go home.
Yeah.
That's what the Sixers used to be like to us. Yeah, I know that sounds a little corny and old school, and I'm sorry about sounding like a comic book character, man, but that's just who I am, man. I'm believing.
That's cool, man.
And some real stuff, man. Like if you have beef with somebody, it's a real beef. You don't waste energy on made up beefs like Tim Hardaway Jr.
Well, Big Freezie, man, we really appreciate you coming on the show. Your knowledge of the New York Mets is impressive and refreshing with an organization that's otherwise depressing. So, you know, thank you for coming on to the show, man. Thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it.
It's always, anytime you want to come back on, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, Freezie.
Hey, man, listen, I appreciate the fact that y'all are doing this thing for all my homies in the tri-state area and everywhere else, nationally and internationally, man. You know, y'all give fans the opportunity to hear something that's not a washed over, polished product from some big conglomerate, man. This is grassroots right here. I appreciate that.
Appreciate it, Big Freezie, man.
Take it easy. Appreciate that, Freezie.
Yeah, man. I'll holler at y'all Sunday.
All right, man.
Sim, you on Sunday?
I'm on Sunday, 10:30. I'll be there.
Word. And Entertainah, man, I'll check you. You already know where I'll be at, right?
Well, I'll see you on Twitter.
Right. And for the fans, at Big Freezie on Twitter if y'all want to beef about something or conversate, man. Holla at your mans.
All right. All right, Freezie.
All right, man.
Appreciate it, man. Have a good one. Entertainer, we're coming down to the end of the show. But we didn't talk Yankees. And I know there's a lot of pinstripe fans out there that want us to talk Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me cringe to talk Yankees. I'm not going to lie to you. Of all the New York franchises, they're my least favorite. And you know what? As I've gotten older, I've grown more respect for the franchise because as a Met fan, we don't do the things that they do. And you know what? I give them a lot of credit, you know, the way that they spend on their team and they help the team win. But, you know, we're going to get more into that next week. The Yankees, I got to say this. The Yankees, they got a lot of bad luck this year. They're on pace to win 100 games, and they're 8 games out of first place.
Isn't that something?
Look at the Red Sox. I would have thought. I mean, you knew the Red Sox would be good this year. But they're going to win 110 games.
Yeah. Isn't that something? But you know what? As a Met fan, I'd take that anyway. I would take it.
I got to say, it's hard for me to root for Boston. It's hard for me to root for Boston, but, you know, I'm kind of indifferent when it comes to that. Fenway Park. You ever been to Fenway Park?
No, I've never been there.
Oh, man, you got to go. You got to go.
Never been there. I've always heard, you know, it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to 11 stadiums, actually. And
nice.
Fenway's my favorite, but Wrigley was really good, too.
I've been past Wrigley. I've never been in Wrigley Field, but I've been past it when I was in Chicago.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a baseball fan, you got to make your way there. It's a historical place.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Entertainah was fun as usual. We got some big weeks coming up. You know, a lot of things. You know, of course, I got my show. Nothing But Knicks. You got some things coming up. I hear you're doing a show. You're gonna do a show, kind of like your top 10 Knicks.
Yeah, me and Knicks Fan TV were talking. You know, I'm still waiting for him to do his video, but he was talking about doing a top 10 Knicks of all time. And then after that, he's going to challenge me. I'm going to do my own show, top 10 Knicks. I'm sorry, not of all time, after the Ewing era.
Oh, okay. That sounds good.
Yeah, that should be fun. And, you know, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to week 2 of the preseason. And, you know, we'll get into that. And, you know, we'll talk a little Yankees next week. We promise.
Yeah, and hopefully in week 2 of that preseason, we get to see Odell Beckham.
Yeah, I think we will. I'm looking forward to that. And we got the Super Bowl week 3, the Giants and Jets. That should be a fun show.
There we go. And I'm looking forward to, you know, I'm not going to say anything because every time I think the Giants are going to plaster the Jets, it turns out to be the reverse, the opposite. You know, but, you know, we'll see. But I'm looking for Saquon Barkley to run all over them. And then we can get on here and gloat. Let's get a Jets fan on here and just gloat.
Yeah, I actually Jets Central. We got to get him on the show. I don't know if you saw my episode with him. He is I've been talking to him. I think he wants to come on the show. He's a big time Jet fan. He'd be fun to talk about that week, I think, with the Super Bowl. All
right, yeah. You know what? Let's do it. Let's talk to him. Let's see if we can get him on.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's do it. Hopefully he sees this video.
Don't worry, I talk to him. I talk to him all the time. He'll be on here.
Cool. We'll reach out to him. But Entertainah, let's head off.
It's been a long night, but it's been a fun night.
Yeah, it's been a fun night. We're gonna head off, and I'll probably see you in the chat. See you on Twitter. We'll be talking.
Yeah,
we talk just about every other day anyway. So that's what it is. All right, everybody. Thank you for checking us out. Peace.